welcome back to the channel. What we have here is our in-house MK8 Golf R, and the reason for this video is that we're coming to the end of this project. But before we come to the end of it, we wanted to run through everything we've upgraded on this car and also what they'll give you driving experience wise. So let's jump into it. And the first thing we're going to start talking about is inside the engine bay. So we've upgraded quite a lot inside this engine bay. So the most obvious thing that you can see is obviously the Eventuri intake and the carbon fiber engine cover. We've fitted quite a few different intakes to this car. We've had the RacingLine intake, tried some different panel filters and things like that. And the favorite intake for us, hence why we're running it, is the Eventuri intake. It's at the higher end of the budget, but what you get from that is not only power gains, also get really good aesthetic from obviously the carbon fiber and an amazing sound as well. RacingLine intake also gives you some really good performance benefits. Also looks a lot better than the standard one, but obviously it's plastic rather than carbon fiber. And then all of the caps under here, like the engine oil, the coolant, the washer fluid has all been upgraded to the RacingLine billet items, and that all important gas strut, which was emitted from these MK8s from the factory. So that's a RacingLine item as well. And obviously, as part of sort of like the engine bay, we're also going to cover the ECU software. So we installed the RacingLine ECU and TCU software on this car to significantly increase the power and torque. So on this car, we're running without any other modifications, just the Eventuri intake and the software. We're running about 413 horsepower and about 550 Newton meters of torque. If you want to watch any of these particular videos pertaining to these products, then head to the description and be able to see that. But for now, we're going to jump out of the engine bay and start talking about the exterior of the car. The exterior is quite different on this car. We've upgraded pretty much everything. So most recently, we've had the ZAERO body kit fitted to it. So that features an additional front splitter, some different side skirts, a rear spoiler add-on, and a diffuser, which we'll show you in a little bit. But first off, let's talk about the wheels as well, because we've had two different types of wheels on here. So we've had the Titan 7 forged TM20s, which were the silver 20 spokes. And then we've also just refitted recently the 19-inch, which are a little bit bigger than the TM20s, the TD6s. So two different wheel styles that we've ran on this car. So much lighter than the factory wheels, much more rigid as well, so more of a direct steering feel. And then especially on the 19s, you've got a lot more brake clearance as well. PS4S tires, of course, one of the best road tires you can get. And then walking around to the back of the car, we've got the rear spoiler, which slots onto the original one. This car didn't have the optional body kit from the factory, so this is a nice little addition. Then we've got the rear diffuser here as well, so fills out the rear diffuser a lot more, bit of a better shape on there. And then we've got the Milltek exhaust system as well. So this system is a GPF-back, so works with the factory emission control system, so it's still totally road legal. It's also not too loud as well, so when you're driving down the motorway, you don't get any horrendous drone or anything like that. And then we've gone with the polished silver tips, as well as all this that we've done on the outside and the engine bay of the car. As well as that, we've extensively modified what's underneath. So let's get the car in the workshop on the ramp and talk you through what's hiding underneath. So starting off this underbody segment with talking about the coilovers that we just fitted to the car. So throughout this whole entire journey, we fitted like RacingLine springs. We've had the MSS springs, which is obviously now defunct. And then we've got the AST ALS kit, and then now the AST 5100 series competition kit on the car. So your RacingLine springs are really good if you just want to lower the car a little bit, about 20 mil from the factory, which is on sort of like the lower end of the budget range. The AST ALS kit basically fits onto the factory dampers and turns it into a coilover, so you can get a wide range of adjustments so that you can set up the arch gap perfectly depending on what your clearance demands are. For example, if you've got any like sleeping policemen around, anything like that, speed bumps. Then also depending on your wheel and tire setup as well, so you want to get that arch gap dialed in nicely, and there's really good ride quality on there as well. And for those who are looking to track their cars or use their car for fast road use, you've then got coilover kits like the AST 5100 series. So what makes ours a competition kit is it has the adjustable top mount on the top, and that allows us to add in more negative camber so that we can use more of the tire as we're going around the corners. So that increases the front axle grip dramatically, and also removes the factory rubber top mount, so it's all nice and metal in there, so there's no push deflection or anything like that. The non-competition series reuses the factory top mount, so you still got the factory rubber bush in there that's good for like noise isolation, but it still allows quite a bit of deflection in there and doesn't allow you to adjust the camber on the front of the car via the top mounts. The 5100 series kit is a coilover, so you can adjust the ride height up and down, and then also you've got your one-way adjustment on the bottom of the damper, so you can customize the damping on the car as well, so adjusting the rebound and the compression. And these kits from AST come with a range of spring options as well, so if you're looking to have something just for use on the bumpy UK roads, we can spec up a kit for that. If it's something you only want to use for track use, we can spec a kit for that. And then like on this car, we've got the best of both worlds, we can spec that kit as well. As well, you'll notice we've got the RacingLine stud conversion as well. So these replace the factory wheel bolts. So instead of having bolts, we've got studs. So you've got the stud that goes on here, and then we've got the wheel nuts that then fastens the wheel to it. And we've also got the Tyrox fast road Corsa pads on there, which are also road legal as well. So pretty much everything underneath the car is different from factory. So starting off on this particular corner, we have the Verkline front adjustable lower wishbones. So these wishbones completely replace the factory arms, and what they allow you to do is to be able to add more negative camber and then also change the caster of the wheel as well. So you achieve that with the camber by extending out this bottom arm, and then on the rear arm you get that by changing the length of that arm. And the benefits of adding more negative camber is that the tire generally will have more of a contact patch as you're going around the corner, and then with the caster you get more dynamic camber gain when you turn your steering wheel. So on a front wheel or on a four-wheel drive car that sends a lot of the power through the front wheels, as much caster as what you can generally run is quite desirable, because then you minimize the static camber, so you maximize the contact patch in a straight line so you can put down that power. Spherical ball joints in all of the original mounting positions, so there's no bush deflection, that's all been eliminated. New products that we've just added as well is the bump steer adjustment. So this goes on your tie rod, and that allows you to correct the bump steer, because basically when you start to lower the car will have more toe gain, which is not necessarily what you want. Depends on exactly what the geometry you're trying to create on the car. So we've got all that replaced, and then we've got the Verkline subframe as well. So this subframe completely replaces the factory subframe. It's a lot more rigid, it's a lot more lightweight as well. Got a different bush on here. So this is the torque mount for the engine. So this has a lot less deflection in it. And then we also have upgraded the factory differential from an open differential to a Wavetrac limited slip differential. So although these cars are full drive, they send power to the front axle first and then send it across to the back. So a benefit of the Wavetrac limited slip differential is basically that the factory differential has a torque bias ratio of 1:1. What that means is when one wheel starts to slip, the opposing wheel can only have the amount of torque sent to it as there is traction at the wheel, the least amount of grip. Whereas with the Wavetrac fitted, you've got about 4.5 times torque bias ratio. So with that slipping wheel, you can send about 4.5 times the amount of torque as there is grip, or traction rather, at the other axle. So what that feels like behind the steering wheel, a good example of it is when you're like going up a slip road, you'll feel the car pulling you round and into the corner rather than pushing you wide. And then if we head over to the back of the car, let's talk about that. Just like on the front of the car, on the rear, we've got the AST 5100s. On the rear, we went for a true coilover solution. So usually what you have is a damper here and then a spring here. And what typically manufacturers do in the aftermarket is they retain that divorce setup. With the AST kit, we decided to make it a true coilover on the rear. And what that does is it's a little bit of a lighter assembly, and then also it's a much wider spring choice as well. So you can get those rear spring rates dialed in. And then of course you've got the rebound and compression adjustment just on the bottom. The Verkline subframe here. So as well as what it upgrades on the front of the car, so it's much more rigid than the factory item. It's a lot lighter as well. So these two items combined, you're gonna be saving about 30 kilos from the front and rear of the car. The rear subframe has multiple mounting locations for the camber arms, so you can change the camber gain, also the toe gain as well, so you can control the bump steer. As well as that, you can opt for a shim adjustment on the rear, so rather than having the like rose joint to change the camber and toe settings, you can actually use like shim adjustments that come in 1 to 1.5 mil increments. And then here you can see the Milltek exhaust system that we spoke about outside. So you can see that this is a GPF-back system, so it retains the front part of the exhaust system from the factory, which has the GPFs and cats in, and just modifies it from the GPF-back. So obviously we've been running this on on the car for about 3-4 years now, on and off the track, all seasons as well, and it's held up really, really nicely. that's everything you need to know about our Mark 8 Golf R project. So as we discussed, we are drawing that project to a close, so you won't see anything more from this project. But if you want to watch anything to do with any of these upgrades we've installed, we've catalogued every single one on our YouTube channel, and you find all that information in the description. And of course, if you want to order any of these upgrades as well, you can go to shop.regalautosport.com, where you can find all of those products online. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't done already, then give us a thumbs up. If you want to watch some of our other videos that YouTube thinks you'll like, then click up here. If you want to watch some other videos in the same playlist, then click here. And if you haven't done already, then hit the subscribe button right here.